Chinese civilization, refined over 5,000 years, is one of the world's oldest civilizations and the only one that has survived without extinction. For the majority of its history, China has been at the forefront of the world. Despite experiencing invasions and even periods of foreign rule, its language and culture have never vanished. Instead, they have assimilated foreign cultures, resulting in a more diverse and open cultural heritage. Even in the past century, when China missed out on the Industrial Revolution and went through periods of aggression and internal conflicts, it faced poverty. However, relying on its remarkable ideas and cultural heritage ingrained in its genes, China rapidly adjusted and rose within the past 20 years, becoming one of the most powerful countries in the world. Chinese culture and wisdom undoubtedly embody vastness, grandeur, and a sense of mystery and wonder. It is like a great melting pot, constantly assimilating foreign ideas, discarding the false and retain the true, and evolving itself. Over the course of these 5,000 long years, numerous military strategists, politicians, thinkers, and philosophers have emerged, leaving behind countless cultural treasures. Today, let us together delve into the mysterious wisdom of the East through surviving fables, allegories, and historical allusions. Studying ancient Eastern wisdom helps unlock the door to thinking, broaden horizons, and add another dimension to problem solving. It allows us to apply different wisdoms in handling various relationships and situations in reality. By combining the wisdom of the East and the West, one can excel in strategic planning and surpass others. Gong Gong, a descendant of the Yan Emperor, had a human face and a snake body, known as the water deity in ancient Chinese mythology, responsible for controlling floods. The story unfolds during a tumultuous period of conflict between the Yan Emperor's clan and the Huang Emperor's clan. During the reign of Huang Emperor's grandson Zhuansu, Gong Gong would often act on whims, wielding his divine powers to conjure storms and rains, causing floods that devastated the people, turning Huaxia into a vast expanse of water. At that time, Diyu was working tirelessly to manage the floods, but Gong Gong consistently disrupted his efforts, preventing the waters from being diverted. So, Diyu sought out Gong Gong, urging him to cease his storm summoning and accumulate virtuous deeds. However, Gong Gong paid no heed, retorting, "What's it to you if I unleash my waters?" Diyu reached his breaking point and rallied the long-suffering populace to join him in driving out Gong Gong. The fire deity Zhulong, who had always been at odds with Gong Gong, also joined the battle. Gong Gong summoned waters from the 5 lakes and 4 seas, flooding the mountains and directing them at Zhulong and his fiery dragon. Yet, water naturally flows downhill, and as the flood receded, the divine flames on Zhulong and his dragon reignited. Riding his fiery dragon, Zhulong charged valiantly at Gong Gong, the long tongues of fire leaving Gong Gong scorched and battered. Unable to withstand the onslaught, Gong Gong retreated into the vast sea, while Zhulong, still mounted on his dragon, pursued relentlessly, forcing Gong Gong into a frantic escape. Just then, armies led by Zhuansu and Diyu the Great converged from all directions, their battle cries and calls for surrender shaking the heavens and earth, launching a fierce assault on Gong Gong's tribe. They pursued from the celestial realm down to the mortal world and then fought their way back up to the heavens. Gong Gong's tribe suffered heavy losses, nearly decimated. After several rounds of fierce combat, Gong Gong was pushed back to the foot of Mount Buzhou, with only 13 horsemen left by his side. Mount Buzhou was said to be the colossal pillar supporting the sky. In ancient times, although the heavens and earth were separate, they were closer in proximity, and there was a ladder connecting them, the Jianmu and Mount Buzhou. During that era, If mortals face grievances, they could directly ascend to the heavenly court through the ladder to plead their case before the heavenly emperor. Divine beings also freely traveled between the heavenly realm and the mortal world to enjoy the mountains and waters. Gong Gong, overwhelmed and surrounded, driven to a dead end, grew increasingly infuriated. He was overcome with shame and anger, let out a mighty roar, and threw himself toward Mount Buzhou with all his might, venting his pent-up resentment. With a deafening crash, the pillar connecting heaven and earth, Mount Buzhou, was shattered in two by his forceful impact, collapsing. After the pillar broke, the entire universe underwent significant changes. The sky collapsed on one side, revealing numerous gaping holes. The earth cracked open, forming deep chasms and fissures. The world itself seemed to crumble, with fires raging in the mountains and torrents of water erupting from the ground. Fierce beasts roamed the surroundings, and countless human lives were lost. The entire world resembled a living hell. Nu Hua witnessed the tragic plight of the humans she had created, scattered and homeless, and felt deep sorrow. Determined to repair the shattered sky, she embarked on an incredibly challenging and intricate task. First, she used the four legs of a giant turtle to stand in for the broken pillar, supporting the sky like a tent. Then, she selected multicolored stones from the rivers and, after heating them with a great fire for 9 days and nights, transformed them into a mixture of red, yellow, blue, white, and black stones. She painstakingly poured this stone mixture into the holes in the sky, meticulously mending the shattered places one by one. As the great work of repairing the sky was nearing completion, it was discovered that the multicolored stones had run out, yet there was still a small portion of the damaged sky left unrepaired. As long as there were openings, the sky remained vulnerable to further fractures, rendering all their efforts in vain. After much contemplation, Nu Hua made the ultimate sacrifice, using her own body to fill the last great hole in the sky. With the sky restored, tranquility finally returned to the world. The earth renewed its vitality, and humanity survived. Since then, occasionally, the sky would display colorful clouds and rainbows as a reminder of this extraordinary tale. This is the story of Gong Gong's furious collision with Mount Buzhou and Nu Hua Mending the Sky. I connected these two separate stories so that everyone could better understand the ins and outs of the tale, making it easier to grasp. Here, I don't intend to delve into Nu Hua's spirit of sacrifice. In the stories I've shared earlier, there are already plenty of examples of immortals sacrificing for the well-being of humans. I also won't analyze the military strategy of avoiding chasing a desperate enemy, because when I discuss The Art of War by Sun Tzu later, I'll go into detail. Instead, what I want to emphasize is a familiar Chinese proverb for modern Chinese people. When immortals fight, mortals suffer. In this story, it was the war between Gong Gong, Zhulong, and Diyu led to immense suffering, to the point where humanity was on the brink of extinction. So, it's best to avoid starting a war lightly. Because the consequences of war can spiral out of control and be beyond expectations. As Sun Tzu's The Art of War says, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Because strategic planning is manageable. When it comes to diplomacy, which extends to everyday language, the consequences are relatively controllable, or at least there's room for adjustment. However, once you're embroiled in a war, it extends to everyday life as fighting, and the consequences can be uncontrollable and far beyond what was anticipated. The additional meaning of when immortals fight, mortals suffer is that ordinary, unrelated people often endure greater disasters than those directly involved. For example, when a war breaks out between two major countries, the first to suffer heavy losses and even potential annihilation are often the smaller neighboring nations. In the business world, the same phenomenon exists. Herbal tea, often called the Coca-Cola of China, holds immense value in China's beverage consumption market. In 2007, sales of Wangliji herbal tea in China exceeded 20 billion yuan, surpassing Coca-Cola's 15 billion yuan, making it the #1 brand in Chinese beverages. However, this Wangliji brand was actually leased. The original owners of Wangliji saw the success and profits from the lessee and, starting in 2010, engaged in a protracted legal battle with them. The lessee was overwhelmed by the harassment and had no choice but to rebrand as Jiadobo. The lawsuit dragged on for many years, and Jiadobo and the original brand owner of Wangliji fought against each other both in the market and in public opinion for many years. Neither side completely defeated the other. Later, people were astonished to discover that Jiadobo and Wangliji, the #1 and #2 in the herbal tea market, not only did not see a decrease in market share due to the legal scandal, but the many other herbal tea brands that were trailing behind gradually faded away and quietly exited the market. The modern proverb, "When immortals fight, mortals suffer," might have gained widespread popularity during that time. Therefore, in any field, either strive to be #1 or position yourself as #2 in opposition. Both are better choices. Don't end up in third place or below, or survival will only become increasingly difficult. Of course, not all brands have the strength to squeeze into the top 2 positions. What do you do if you can't make it in? For friends engaged in business, I recommend studying the famous marketing theories of Al Ries and Jack Trout, specifically their positioning theory, to carve out a mental battleground and strive to become the #1 in that mental space. Don't miss out on this potentially life-changing opportunity. If you want to gain more insightful wisdom, go ahead and tap that like button, subscribe to our channel, and help us keep producing high-quality content. And don't forget to click the bell icon below the video, so you'll be the first to receive our latest updates and never miss a chance to enhance yourself.